Hey everyone, welcome back if you're returning, and welcome if you're new. The Accord 66 is in the middle of a quick road trip, so I figured I'd record a few updates that I wanted to share. With the road trip in mind, I mentioned that this car does phenomenally well on longer trips. Of course, at its core, it is just a regular old V6 Accord, so it holds up phenomenally well on the highway. This car is almost 20 years old. It's coming up on exactly 20 years of its build date. In October of this year, we'll reach that milestone. And it still has not hit 100,000 miles yet, and I highly doubt if it will. But let me rephrase that. I hope it does. I just highly doubt that it will anytime this year, because very rarely do I drive it on longer trips. It is not my daily driver. My 9th-gen Accord is kind of reserved for that duty. So this car is typically what I drive when I want to have just a little bit more fun. And on rare occasions, I'll take it on a road trip. So this is the car's second time coming to Florida. My sister lives in the Tampa area of Florida, so it's about a 7-hour drive from where this car lives at. And again, it holds up really well. In traffic, of course, the shifting and stuff can get to be a little bit bothersome. Bumper to bumper, you're going between neutral first and second, and that's literally it. Nonetheless, as far as updates are concerned, I changed out the front license plate. Of course, that first one started off black, and then the sun just kind of baked it to that almost dark red, I want to say, color. It's kind of hard to explain, but if you've seen the car in a few videos before, then you know what I mean. And excuse any of the bugs or dirt. Again, we're in the middle of a road trip, so the car has taken quite the beating. I really don't like that front badge being in there anymore. You'll remember that started off in my 9th-gen Accord. When I kind of reverted that car back to its factory form, I placed this one in here, and I'm thinking about taking it off and putting just the regular silver one back on. These headlights, so the dark housing headlights I replaced back in August, I want to say, and you can see it's kind of a matter of getting what I paid for. These were on the cheaper end. I don't really have too much money to invest into this car, but it's also a 20-year-old Honda Accord. That's, my second vehicle, if you will, so I'm not going to spend too much money on I guess kind of trivial things. But you can see, again, it's a matter of getting what I paid for, because they are starting to not only yellow, but the clear coat is actually peeling off of them as well, which isn't the best, but again, you get what you pay for. I'm not upset about that at all. If I feel motivated to change them out, then I will at some point, but not an immediate concern of mine. Going to the back end, nothing has changed, so I'll actually go inside the car. Actually, no, I lied. One thing that I can show off in the back end is the fact that the car now has a backup camera, and that kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm going to show on the inside. But I mounted, wired that myself, so on and so forth, and so far, no complaints. Now, what I wanted to show off on the inside is actually, I was going to say a new head unit, but it's really not that, because this is just a portable Carplay unit that I installed. I was bored scrolling through Amazon, had a slew of gift cards that I needed to spend, so I figured I would just go ahead and spend them on getting this. I have had the Android unit, like the X-Trons, for example. I had that in my 2004 Accord when I still had that, and I wasn't really a fan. The minute I installed that, with correct wiring, so on and so forth, my AC stopped working, and it screwed it up. As soon as I reinstalled what would have been the factory head unit, or what you're looking at right now in my 2004 Accord, AC started working again. Nonetheless, I wasn't really a fan of that unit, and I didn't want to try to mess around with that again. But I also do get tired of not having a backup camera in this car, and I like what it's like to have CarPlay. So in short, I got this off Amazon. I installed it. In theory, you really don't have to run the wires or anything, but I don't like the look of a mess of wires. Having my car charger here is about all I want, and even that is annoying to me sometimes. So the wires for the head unit actually run back up through there. You can see that I did have to kind of get this, I guess, out of alignment a little bit, but it's not too terrible. And up front, there's no difference, which I like. But I routed it back up behind the head unit through this compartment, and then this area right here, if you just kind of stick your fingers up in there, you can open that up. So I routed the wires for power up to center console, excuse whatever is in there, and then For the backup camera, it's routed back up behind the rear seat. Here it is in the CarPlay mode. I will be honest and say that the response can be just a bit laggy, but not too big of a deal. And it connects to the phone flawlessly every time I start the car up, etc. Since the 7th-gen Accord does not have Bluetooth from the factory, I do have to run the audio through an FM transmitter station, but that's not really a big deal. It doesn't come with any static or anything like that. So again, I think I would recommend the product, especially if you're a person like myself who does not want to mess with any of those Android units. I also will be completely honest and say I hate the way it looks when people put those, I guess, aftermarket dash kits in here to accommodate, I guess, whatever other head units that are available. It's very convenient, and it seems to be, I guess, the most how should I say it, foolproof method, especially if you want to avoid those Extrons units as well. But I'm not really a fan of the way they look. I also don't like when people replace that little compartment right there with head units. So I think for myself, this just happens to be the best. Now, someone might rebut that and say, well, you have to worry about running all those wires, so on and so forth. And I will be honest, I can actually somewhat agree. So these wires being there, it doesn't look necessarily the best, but I did want to make sure that they weren't too sloppily, I guess, kind of thrown around the cabin. Nonetheless, I'm pretty satisfied with the product, and I think it was a pretty affordable, easy to install solution for, I guess, whatever, minute problem existed. That's about it. As far as the mileage check, the car is at 85,791. I am about 400, I'll round up and say 400 miles away from home. So we will be at over 86,000 by the time we make it back to South Carolina. But for a 20-year-old car, a 20-year-old Honda Accord at that, she is still a baby by all accounts. I appreciate you for watching, as always, and as soon as I have another reason to record, or I find another reason to, I certainly will. Thank you.